Welcome again. Today we're here to talk about Chapter 14, Section 3, the respiratory system. You should have already read in the textbook pages 570 through 578, and now you're just adding to your notes. Our essential question is, how does the respiratory system... Excuse me, I'm videotaping. Okay, so essential question is, how does the respiratory system interact with the cardiovascular system? Remember, we talked about the cardiovascular system in Chapter 13. How do they work together?
So what does our respiratory system do? Functions of respiratory system. Function, remember, means job. So what's the job of our respiratory system? The first job is to take in oxygen. Breathe in. You just breathed in oxygen. Second job, breathe out. You just got rid of carbon dioxide, which is a gas that is toxic. It's bad for you, so we have to breathe it out, otherwise it can make us very sick. And there's some water. If you've ever breathed on a mirror or glass, like that, kind of gets steamy, that's because you're breathing out some water. So our respiratory system works together with our circulatory system. So if we look at this picture, you can see here's our heart, and it's right in between our lungs. That's because it's going to pump blood into our lungs to pick up that oxygen we need and to get rid of the carbon dioxide that we don't need. So how does our air get into our body? We can breathe it in through two places, our nose or our mouth. And then it's going to come when we breathe in through our mouth, our throat. It's also called the pharynx. And that air goes down our trachea. You have two tubes here. Trachea goes into your lungs, and then if you swallow, you can feel your esophagus. That goes into your stomach. And our trachea is going to lead into our bronchi, which are these two little branches. One bronchi leads into your left lung, and one bronchi leads into your right lung. So our air comes in either through our nose or our mouth, down our trachea, into our lungs.
As it branches down into our lungs, it goes into smaller and smaller tubes. Eventually, those tubes will end in what's called dead ends. And scientists call those the alveoli. The alveoli are like if you can imagine, like a bunch of grapes all hooked together. So the air comes in, and it enters these air sacs or alveoli. From there, see these capillaries? If you remember capillaries from that first video or video earlier on, capillaries is where things get diffused or things get evened out. So you breathe in a bunch of oxygen. Your blood has very little oxygen, bunch of oxygen, very little oxygen, and it evens things out. Your blood has a bunch of carbon dioxide. This air has very little carbon dioxide, so things get evened out. So you breathe in oxygen and you breathe out carbon dioxide. So gas exchange happens in the alveoli in these lungs. Next, how you breathe. You have a diaphragm. The diaphragm is the main muscle that allows you guys to breathe. The diaphragm is located down here below the lungs, and it's a muscle that moves up and down with each breath you take. If you breathe out, the diaphragm moves up. If you breathe in, the diaphragm moves down. Also, your rib cage can expand or contract. Those muscles can contract, or they can loosen up to allow more air into your lungs. So if you've ever had the hiccups, you know there's a rush of air into your lungs, and the hiccups are caused by this diaphragm right here. The diaphragm spasms, and it moves down suddenly, and there's a rush of air in, and you get that distinctive hiccup sound. When your glottis, that's the thing. The glottis is the thing that esophagus, trachea is like food, air. The glottis is that thing that goes back and forth. It's the trap door, yes. Hey, is it food? Let's go down the esophagus. Is it air? Let's go down here. So when you hiccup, it's like the diaphragm moves down, the glottis slams shut, and that's the hiccup sound. So how you make speak and how you speak and stuff, how you speak, which I'm have a hard time right now, is you have vocal cords, and these vocal cords are located in your throat, and as air passes through them, those vocal cords vibrate back and forth. So, this is how you breathe. Thank you for watching.